So Glasgow got a silver medal at NSR. They've moved to the quad this weekend. It's a different composite combination from the Scottish clubs, Glasgow Schools and Glasgow Academy. They appear to look like they've got a good race on their hands already. Obviously these girls are only juniors, and it's really nice to see them down here. And not only down here, but putting in a really good effort. Can't tell from the camera angle at the minute. There we are.
Yeah, Kingston Grammar School probably just about a length down off the start at the end of the island as they begin to settle into a race rhythm. It is the Glasgow Composite.
So again, we're seeing the benefits for composite being reaped by Glasgow schools at the minute. Obviously these boats are coxed, which means that the rowers themselves can concentrate on just putting the power down and leaving the coxes to steer. You can tell from this shot quite nicely actually that these boats are bow loaders. So the cox sits down in the bow of the boat. It's got a really good view down the course, which means that they have pretty fantastic views of where the other crew are and where they are in relation to the booms on the course. So there should really be no excuse for any steering issues here, which we don't seem to have at all.
So the first of the group of 4 races for this, the junior coxed fours. Glasgow continued to lead Kingston Grammar School. They will face the winners of the next race, which is Phillips Academy, United States of America, and Putney High School A. Then we have Maidstone Invicta against Aberdeen Schools Rowing Association. And then it's Putney High School B against Lower Merion High School from the United States of America A.
So you can see from this shot overhead now from the drone that Glasgow schools seem to be rowing a slightly longer stroke than Kingston, and that's just allowing them every stroke just to inch out slightly more over their opposition. You can see the cox there, just making sure they're on course. He'll be making calls, he or she will be making calls to the crew just to motivate them, you know, tell them they've got this, and just relax and sort of bring it home really. You can see the benefits now of having those coxes from this shot perfectly straight. They're on course. There's no sort of issues of steering. Both crews looking quite nice actually coming down. Both looking quite confident, but obviously Glasgow have that immediate advantage.
Yeah, nicely in control there, Glasgow. They got themselves a lead at the top of the island by about a length, and they've now moved further away from Kingston Grammar, and Glasgow able to just control this race. Bit of racing ahead of them.
I think something we're seeing more and more now is that crews generally that get off the start quicker can hold that race, sort of start to control it. We see it on the international circuit with the Italians. So Glasgow obviously taking a leaf out of their book, and this whole idea of getting straight off the start and then controlling the race from there is their idea. Something interesting to note here is that the women's Henley course we're on now is only a 1500 metre course, which is 500 metres shorter than standard distance. So a lot of these crews racing at things like National Schools Regatta will have raced the full 2000 metres, and sometimes that 500 metres difference can make quite a bit of difference to the crews themselves, because there isn't that much time if something goes wrong to make up that difference, and those crews who may be better at the longer distances don't have that time to stretch out throughout the race, and it is often decided in those first few strokes.
And there you got a shot of Kingston, of the Glasgow Composite leading Kingston.
So Glasgow have got quite a nice lead now, still just stretching out. I think they're just enjoying rowing down this course now, seeing what power they can put down, and just enjoying rowing down this historic course, watching their opposition and knowing that they're doing quite well.
Well, that race is coming to a conclusion. The next one up is Phillips Academy USA. Be interesting to see how they go against Putney High School A. All these junior girls crews did their qualifying last night. That then determined the draw. And in this half of the draw, you've got Maidstone Invicta and Aberdeen schools next, with Putney High School B and Lower Merion High School, United States of America. But it's Phillips Academy, USA, up against Putney High School A.
So the Putney crew seem to have done quite well this season so far. They got a gold at national schools in the Cox Force. This is their event. And 3 of the crew that we're watching here now won the J16 Cox Fort at Henley Women's last year. So we have already got, even in the junior ranks, we've got some names returning back. And I imagine we'll be looking at a win, he says, for Putney in this race here. And already you can see they are starting to stretch out slightly, taking a lead. And they are both crews are looking quite nice technically. Putney blades are going in together, looking really, really sharp and nice. Just as we go through the first few meters of this race.
Yeah, Putney High School A looked very, very confident and mature as they approach us. The Americans, of course, this is all pretty new to them, side-by-side racing and on a river with a bit of flow. So it's always a tough ask for them to come here and then perform. Adding to that the fact that they've probably got to borrow a boat. Sounds like I'm making excuses for them. I'm not. I'm just pointing out that it is a little bit different. Putney High School A moving away from us now with a lead of about a length and a half.
So yeah, as I said, Putney, they look really sharp. You can tell that this crew has some pedigree within it. They're obviously very experienced. I imagine they train many, many times a week. A lot of technical work by the looks of it. Their blades are all going in together, which will make the Cox's life easier because they're going in a nice straight line, nice and strong. And they just seem to be opening out a lead. Another few inches every stroke. Just really, again, like our last crew that we saw, just enjoying rowing down Henley. The American crew just shows the appeal of Henley Women's and how it's grown in recent years. You've got crews from all over the world coming to compete at Henley Women's. Americans are a perfect example. It is tough for an international crew to come here and, by the looks of it, get knocked out. But that's the nature of the game, really. And they are putting in a good show. But Putney seem to have... as you can tell from this shot now, just seem to be absolutely controlling this race. Can't actually see the other crew just appearing now in the bottom of the picture.
Yeah, their opening race of the Henley Women's Regatta has been a dream, really, for Putney High School A. Their B crew coming up race after next. Just started its Maidstone Invicta Aberdeen Schools Rowing Association. Maidstone Invicta are on the Berkshire side. Aberdeen over towards the island. And both these crews got off to a good, powerful start as they head up towards the top of the island. It's Aberdeen that have the advantage.
Yeah, so Aberdeen again opening up a lead early on, but it looks like this will be a much tighter race than the last race we've just seen. Both crews now seem to be opening up, and you can see quite interestingly, nearest us, the boat is in fact a stern loader, so the Cox is watching their crew and seeing what they're doing, which you ask different people, have different opinions on which is better, but you can just see the 2 different styles of boat there coming down the river. It does still look like a lead.
So just looking at the results to keep you up to speed, the last batch of races, race 1, 3, 4 was a win for Emmanuel School Boat Club, 3 lengths in a time of 5:29. Then it was the championship pairs, Lady Eleanor Hollis beat Newcastle University Boat Club 3.5 lengths, 5.49. Championship pairs again, Leander Club 4 lengths the verdict, 6.05. Race 138, Imperial College Boat Club beat Worcester Rowing Club, that was 2.5 lengths, time 5.47. And then the last of the championship pairs, Tideway Scholars School beat Cambridge University Women's Boat Club 2 lengths and the time was 5.53.
So we can see now we've got the last race just come to an end, just disappeared actually. Aberdeen Schools seem to open up quite a substantial lead actually over Marlow as they come through down the course, just having passed us now. It's quite a substantial lead. Aberdeen looking very, very comfortable there, just sitting on it. Marlow, not so much. Maidstone, not so much. Looking a bit like they're struggling now. Again, going back to the psychological factor, even though they're not that far behind, not being able to see your opposition, it does have a physical effect on you, and you start to get tired and frustrated, and that can affect the outcome of the race. So there we are, coming down past the boat racks there. Still good lead of a couple of lengths there for Aberdeen. Opening up, just starting to slow it down by the looks of it, but still keeping on top of it, saving energy for the next round of racing.
And the next race that's due up is the other Putney High School crew. So it's Putney High School B on the Berkshire station, will be up against Lower Merion High School from the USA. Aberdeen continue to pull away from Maidstone. But Maidstone close enough to make Aberdeen still work. They're not relaxing out there. They're still pushing ahead. And the umpire has called a halt to the start, so barely a stroke taken place there. You can see both the crews have pulled up. Putney High School B, Lower Merion High School A, not sure why or what the reason was, but they're backing it down and they're going to try again. So we watch the closing stages of the previous race.
Aberdeen still just bringing it home now, looking very, very comfortable, even though they're being pushed slightly. They're still looking very comfortable coming through. Technique still looks to be holding up quite well, and you can see the pedigree within this crew coming through quite strongly. With a smiled grimace on the face there. And there we are, and they have won that race. I'm sure that means quite a lot to them going through to the next round of racing.
Okay, back down to the start, we can see the crews. There's Aberdeen just relaxing after a good win over Maidstone Invicta. And we go down to the start and watch the second attempt to get this race underway. Putney High School B and Lower Merion High School from the United States of America.
So a quick history lesson for you all. Lower Merion School Crew is the oldest public high school rowing team in the US. Established in 1945, the girls team was established in 1975. This spring the crew has won the Scholastic Rowing Association of American National Championships, Philadelphia City Championships, and brought home the silver at the Stotesbury Cup Regatta in the Varsity Coxed 4 category. Last year they won trifecta, the Philadelphia City Championship, the Stotesbury Cup Regatta, and again the Scholastic Rowing Association of American National Championships in the Junior Varsity Coxed Fours. So we can see already they're a very strong crew, and they seem to have reason to come over to Henley from the US.
So the reason for the false start, not known. However, they're just settling. Didn't appear actually. The umpire launch moved. They went off, took a couple of strokes. The race was stopped. The umpire's on his feet. Quick roll call. Make sure the boats are aligned firstly and then straight. And with a drop of the flag, they're off.
So you get to see the start here off the blocks. Both crews looking to get that early advantage as we come past Temple Island. Looking quite evenly matched. Don't usually see much disparity between the crews this early on in the race. Both will be looking to get that lead over their opposition as they come out past the island. Steering looks quite good. Cox fours, you expect it.
Well, if anything, Putney High School B crew have got much the better start and really punching away and putting everything into their start. There you can see the top of the island, that pile that starts the booms caused a lot of problems yesterday with the coxless boats, but a really good start from Putney High School B. Now, what do the Americans have?
I imagine the Americans will be looking to bring something quite powerful to this. A lot of the coaching in the US is based around power, both in the men's and the women's, and it looks like they're showing that now. Really strong stroke, getting those legs down, trying to claw it back from Putney as we come past the first bit of the regatta course.
The Putney High School B are doing as good a job as their A crew here, I would suggest.
Yes, yeah. You often see this, that if the schools have the ability to, schools and clubs have the ability to enter two crews, they're often both very strong crews. And we sometimes see the A and B status symbols lose their meaning, in fact. Because we've seen last couple of days B crews beating A crews, and like I said, if you've got that ability to enter two or more crews, then you're going to have that depth to make up several very, very strong crews. Just coming past now, Putney have held their lead over the Americans, who seem to be struggling slightly to get back up to Putney's level.
Well, we've got to make a huge apology here. I think we just had a good look when they passed our commentary position. It would appear that the crews are quite possibly
Reversed.
We've got that wrong. Yeah, it's the Americans that have the lead, and we got the wrong bit of paper in front of us. So many apologies there. So it is Lower Merion High School from the USA that crew number 347 that had the lead here over Putney High School.
So Merion, as we've now deduced, have in fact got a very, very strong lead over Putney. There's several lengths between them, nice clear water, and I imagine now Merion will be sort of feeling quite confident, but sort of keeping on it, as the Americans tend to do. They'll want to finish this race in a nice strong fashion, and then they'll be looking forward to the next race, unless something was to go wrong. It's like cursing these races.
Yeah, so many apologies there if you're listening out in the States. Our bit of paper here was showing us the wrong way around. It's only when they passed our window that we realised, hello, that's the Americans that are leading. So it's Lower Merion High School, USA, progressing down the course. They will meet the winners of the previous race, which were Aberdeen Schools. And that race, number 310, will take place tomorrow. So next up, it is the junior double sculls. Okay, so the next race on the course is the double scull, junior double sculls, Molesey Boat Club A and Sir William Perkins School A. Sir William Perkins are on the Buckinghamshire station, nearest to the middle of the river. And it's Molesey that have a very good lead as they move away from us.
Yes, Molesey definitely have much more strength than Sir William Perkins. As you can just see, as they're going up the course, they're just long and powerful in every stroke they're taking, which is just really giving them an advantage on Sir William Perkins School. Molesey have been quite successful this year. They have a very successful single sculler who's been doing GB trialling, and she's been off competing nationally. So the girls' crews are very strong at Molesey this year. I think their training programme must be really paying off, as in all crews across the whole of the club, they've been really achieving high this year against much of their competition.
So you can see Molesey there moving away. Nice image of a rock there. Not sure what that is. Oh, there we are. Okay. Bottom of the screen, it's the next race up. This is Shiplake College and Tideway Scullers School. Probably with the most colourful kit on the river, these, or most recognisable kit on the river, these two clubs. Shiplake College Boat Club there with their Busy Bee tops. And they had a good start, got ahead at the top of the island. The headmaster of the school, Greg Davis, was in here earlier, getting very excited about the girls racing. I think he'll be pretty pleased so far, as they have a lead at the top of the island. But Tideway Scullers School, well, we know they have some fight in them.
Yes, yeah. The Tideway Scullers, they've been racing quite a bit today. We've seen them in various categories, and all have been competing really strongly. So again, it's nice to see another Tideway Scullers crew coming down with some strength down the river. Not massively close though between Shiplake and Tideway, I have to say. It definitely looks like Shiplake have the strength here, but it's still all to play for. I think certainly Greg will be very happy with the result as how it's going so far. But, you know, still all to play for. Shiplake have that length ahead of Tideway, which they'll be very pleased with, to keep on looking down at their opposition rather than be looking back at them.
Well, they pass us and they've got a lead of just over a length. And they're looking across, and they're also looking towards the bank where they're getting support from their schoolmates, teachers, and dare I say, the headmaster. So Shiplake College continue to lead Tideway Scullers School. Moving away from us, they've extended that lead now, so they're probably almost 2 lengths.
Yeah, they're definitely looking very calm and collected as they're going up the course, so they don't seem to be any stress or panic at all. They just seem to be pushing down with their legs and just keeping on going up their course. They know that they're strong enough to keep going, and I think that's a really nice way to race, actually, just to have that composure as you go up the course.
Yeah, well, they're at the halfway mark now, so if Tideway Scullers are going to do anything, they ought to do it now. Shiplake's still knocking it along, couple of lengths lead. The picture bottom left is the start of the next race, Hereford Cathedral School and Maidenhead Rowing Club. Maidenhead to the left of your screen there in the green kit. Got a really powerful start here. Maidenhead been doing very, very well this season.
Yeah, they have. They've been competing across the board at a lot of different events and coming within some of the top places of them. From what I can find, I don't believe that they have won anything, but they've certainly been placing up in those top few places, sort of seconds, thirds, fourth. So they're right up there with all the competition, but Hereford have been just a bit more quieter this year. But they both seem to be putting in a good race, but it definitely looks like Maidenhead have the technique and the power to push them down. Yeah, as you can see on the screen at the bottom there, Maidenhead definitely have that lead. They're over a length ahead. You could even say that's a length and a half, I think, that they're ahead by. So it's a very strong position to be in at this part of the course, as they're just going past us now.
Yeah, they're looking very together, nice and strong. Pushing some decent puddles away from them, and Maidenhead have a lead there of about a length and a half. Closing stages of the previous race, and Shiplake College still leading Tideway Scullers School. Tideway Scullers have put up their rate, and they're having a go to get back on terms, but I think they've probably left it a bit late. Shiplake are hanging on, they're leading, but Tideway Scullers have definitely made some ground on Shiplake, coming up towards the last half dozen strokes.
Yeah, it looks
and they've closed the gap there, haven't they, Tideway Scullers, but they've left it a bit late as that race comes to an end.
I'm sure Greg will be very happy with that result.
He will indeed. So it's the next race up, so it's all fast and furious here. Great Marlow School, St George's College and Kingston.
So just going off that start mark there, it's difficult to see who's got that lead at the moment. I think that is
St George's College and Kingston. These two clubs very, very close to each other, and there's not much to choose between them as they got to the top of the island.
No, they're both very close still.
Yeah. St George's nearest to us. Kingston Rowing Club. Again, another kit that's easily recognisable. The red and white stripes. And it's probably Kingston there that have just managed to get a slight lead.
Yeah, I think this is one of the more closer races at that start point for most of today. Actually, there's always been quite a clear crew in front of the other, especially at that start point, but these two crews seem to be really, really close together actually. Lots of support from the side here, you can hear. It's really nice to have everybody on the side actually, especially when the weather's so lovely as it has been. Creates a really good environment for everybody to compete in.
Yeah, you're looking there at the overhead shot of this race, Kingston and St George's, but St George's having a push there, and they've definitely gained a bit of ground there. St George's just had a glance across, just squeezed a bit more, had a push, and as they leave us, they are level. So a really exciting race. The race before closing stages, that sees the junior double scull of Maidenhead Rowing Club winning that race quite easily, but Kingston and St George's. This is very close indeed. Moving now away from us and down towards the enclosures. There'll be a bit of noise there because this is a very close one.
Yeah, this is one of the closest races we've seen for quite a while actually today. This will be really competitive. I'm sure this will be a hugely psychological battle between the two crews of just who can get that extra bit more power and strength and just really push themselves. Obviously both of them will be looking to get that ahead position so they can just start to take the rate down a little bit and relax for their later races, but it doesn't look like that's going to be happening at all in this race. I think it's going to be a fight all the way to the end.
Well, St George's were down until they got to us, about a third of the way down the course. Then they put on a push. Interestingly, Kingston didn't relax to that, and it looks as if St George's now have rode through Kingston. And there's Kingston on the top, and it is St George's that they just seem to have got a bit of spark in their rhythm and a bit more oomph in the stroke, and they have gone through the double of Kingston.
I think it just goes to show the determination of crews that are here at Henley Women's. I think it's such a big event that you've trained for all year that as soon as you get onto the course and you're racing, you've got to put everything into it, especially when you're in such a tight race like this. You don't have anything to lose. So it's good to see when a crew just has that extra spark that can just get them that couple of meters and then a length and then as far as they can get in front of another crew.
Yeah, Kingston Rowing Club there sort of threw everything at the start and were holding off the challenge from St George's College, and now St George's College, having gone through Kingston, are beginning to pull away. Down at the start, the next batch of races, this is the junior Coxed Fours, which sees Great Marlow School up against Headington A. Next up then will be Latimer Upper against St Andrew Boat Club, Sir William Borlase up against Henley, and then Mount St Joseph Marlow. So the last of the round of junior, or this batch of junior double sculls, saw Maidenhead Rowing Club beat Hereford Cathedral School. So that will see Maidenhead go through and compete against St George's College. And it's the next race on the course now. This is Great Marlow School and Headington, race number 148.
So we see coming off the start now quite a close race between Headington and Great Marlow. Both come off the start nice and quickly, going back to the Cox Fours, so there should be no issues with steering. And we can see that there isn't off the start at least. Quite close actually coming off the start. No real differentiation, but wouldn't expect to see it from two crews of this standard off the start. Marlow were bronze medalists in the 4 this year at national schools. So still, as we come down the course, they're keeping quite close together. Actually, this could be in for quite a battle as we come down towards the banks. With lots of support down there. Both crews are still really close together. Not much in it. Only a canvas between the two crews. Imagine see a crew making a move in a minute, trying just to break the other crew.
And Great Marlow School with a slight lead. They've come back into rowing over the last few years. It was, of course, the school where Sir Steve Redgrave went many years ago, and rowing pretty much disappeared. It's been revived, revitalised, and here they are now at Henley Women's Regatta, and they are leading Headington.
Headington itself, quite a bit of history, one of the biggest clubs for girls to row, incredibly successful, and it looks from this angle like they might actually be coming through. We did say this would be a close race, and it should be quite exciting. It does look from this angle that Headington is just about to break through, and I think they have, just by a couple of feet.
Yeah, they've timed that perfectly, haven't they? They've just they've raced their own race, really. They've had the.
And I think we can see there the use of quite a strong race plan by the looks of it, not getting phased by the fact that we're down off the start and coming through and breaking Great Marlow School to come down towards the finish.
Well, having said that, Great Marlow have put in a bit of a response, and they're not going to allow them to dictate. Great Marlow School putting up a really good fight here against Headington, and this is one of the closest races we've had in the junior batch of races. Not much in that at all.
So as you come through, both crews, they're looking very strong. They're not going to let the other crew get away. Headington looking slightly worried at the minute. The possibility of being rebroken. We're just out of shot there, struggling to see who's actually in front.
Next race has started. This is the race between Latimer Upper School A and St Andrew Boat Club. Race 149. Latimer Upper nearest to the towpath on the Berkshire Station, and St Andrew Boat Club at the top of your screen. Keep an eye on the race at the top. It's Headington leading Great Marlow School. Are they pulling away? We've got Headington in shot there, and it looks as if they've managed to get themselves a lead of about a length, but a really good race out, and they crossed the line, so well done Headington. Commiserations Great Marlow School. Next race has reached the top of the island.
So top of the island coming through, again looking in to be quite a close race between the two clubs coming down. Both crews looking quite strong. Again, we just saw in the previous race how a race plan can pay off if you stick to it. And all these girls look to be quite experienced. So William Bordelais at the top of your picture now. Has one substitution, built on a fourth place at Wallingford to take the silver medal behind Putney High in the girls' school 4 at national schools. So hopefully they'll be looking off to show a bit of prestige in this event. They've obviously got the experience and the heritage in this boat to try and beat. Coming through, both crews looking to win. Slight lead for the crew on our side of the river. Distinctive socks in the opposition crew as it happens.
That noise, in fact, was the Spitfire fly pass scheduled for 12:13. I thought I read somewhere. So they're late. Anyway, you can probably hear it. We can see it. You're watching the rowing. We're watching an aeroplane. It's just about the buzz of the tower, I think.
I've got a nice close up there of Latimer Upper. Just disappearing out of the picture, looking quite happy. Not sure where they are. Coming down again. Both crews looking quite close to each other. Again, angles tend to be deceptive. Latimer Upper themselves have a bit of heritage in the fours, but in the coxless fours coming fourth at National Schools Regatta in the championship event. You can just see there in the bottom picture our flyover happening. Sort of highlights the prestige and appeal of Henley to everyone.
Oh wow, that was low. This is a Spitfire from the Battle of Britain flight, and he's waggling his wings, and off he goes. And I think we're due I read somewhere that we're due a Lancaster bomber, so the boys in the caravan will stay alert for that one.
Make some noise around.
Probably have to get the drone down, I would think. Anyway, back to the rowing.
Latimer Upper looking quite confident there, coming through. Again, I assume they're in front. We lost the picture for a second, so I assume they're rode down their opposition. Looking quite comfortable, actually. Just taking it through. No idea where their opposition have got to.
So Latimer Upper and St Andrew Boat Club. The next race up, race 150, Sir William Borlase Grammar School Boat Club A crew and Henley Rowing Club. Henley were winners of this event last year, set a new course record.
So we're on the race watch at the minute. Latimer Upper have taken the lead over St Andrews. Coming down, look about a length, 2 lengths. Looking quite confident there. They'll just be looking to conserve energy for their next races as they come through to 1 o'clock. Yeah, looking quite confident there. Nice close-up shot. Their blade work looks quite neat together and tidy. And there they are, having won. We're quite happy with that win, I think.
So thank you, Martin, for all your wisdom over the past 90 minutes. My name's Tom Morgan. I'm back with you for a considerable stretch of time this afternoon, and I'm delighted to be joined by Greg Davies for what I believe is a heat of the junior women's fours. I think it's the third heat in a set of 4, contested by Sir William Borlase Grammar School on the Berkshire Station and Henley Rowing Club on the Buckinghamshire Station. Yeah, I believe that is true. Henley need no introduction. Unsurprisingly, the standout crew in this category, and this lineup were bronze medalists at national schools in May behind Lady Eleanor Hollis and Glasgow. And I suppose that's a result that many people would be proud of, Greg, but not this Henley crew. I imagine they were gunning for more.
Yeah, I mean, they're such a successful club. Over the last 5 years, they've gone from strength to strength. and nothing but gold is good enough for them now.
Absolutely. Success breeds success, and let's see if that's evidenced here in this heat of the junior coxed fours as the crews get off the start. Looks like Henley got the better of the two, maybe eking out a couple of seats ahead of their Sir William Borlase counterparts.
Well, you'd think that Henley would know this course back to front, but of course, when they're training down here, the booms aren't out and the boys aren't there, and so it's not as easy as many people might think for Henley.
No, absolutely not. And actually, this Sir William Borlase crew, plenty of pedigree on board here. They were silver medalists in the girls' school cox fours at the national schools, so they are no slow pokes, and showing that here, staying in touch with Henley in the early exchanges. About half a length between the two crews, as we can just see that overhead shot of them making their way down the course. The sun dappled on what is a beautiful day on the River Thames at Henley Women's Regatta. It's about 1:05 in the afternoon. We've got a full set of racing coming up, but there we go, Greg. We can just see the class Henley have, the longer legs, the stronger pull, and they're just moving out, aren't they?
Yes, they are, and you'll know a lot about this crew. Tom, perhaps you'll tell us about them in a little while, but they've relaxed now, they've got into their rhythm, and they're nice and long. They're already a length and a half up, and they'll be saving this in the lengths, because of course they're carrying a cox with them, this is a tough event for men or women, and once they get out to a lead, they really want to get into rhythm, let the boat flow, as you can see they are doing there, lean back, hold the blade in just a little bit, just to let the boat run on a little bit, allow the boat to do the work before you come back up the slide. And it looks to me, Tom, that they are very much a standout crew here. We would be looking for them to certainly get to the semis, if not the final.
Well, absolutely, Greg. A remarkable acceleration for their boat. They have moved out to clear water ahead of Sir William Borlase Grammar School and displaying all the hallmarks of a Henley Rowing Club crew. Calm at both ends of the stroke, a really relaxed style, but proper emphasis in places where there should be. And they look like quite an impressive unit, and I imagine they'll have tailored their preparations this year to this event to win on home water.
Yeah, just look at, if you get a chance again with the drone footage, just to look at the height of the blades above the water, and we were looking at the stroke side blades just then. But if you wouldn't be able to put a gnat's whisker between the difference in the height of the blade, which means that everything's working together. So there's an economy of ergonomics there. Just love. There you can see it. Look at the blade height in the recovery coming across, both the same height. Just if one wants to be a little picky, then not feathering at the same time, but goodness knows the power. It doesn't look as though the power is going down, but at the snap, just there, look at that drive there. You can just see explosion. Well coached, the Henley crews, extremely well coached, and are really catching the water fantastically well. First 3 inches of the power stroke there, just eking the boat out. And every time they do that, even though they're relaxed, every time they're doing that, they're going, inches, feet, centimeters, meters ahead of the opposition.
Yeah, class showing from this Henley crew, and I understand Mary Wright is on board, and she's a student at Henley College with a Junior Worlds vest to her name, and Martin Unsworth, the chap who was on just before me, exonerating just quite how much of a remarkable athlete she is, but just coming down the course there, Henley in complete control of race 150. So we'll look up to the start, race 151, another heat of the Junior Cox Fours, Mount St Joseph's Ale on the Berkshire Station, and a bit of home interest in Marlow Rowing Club on the Buckinghamshire Station.
And Tom, Marlow doing incredibly well as well. Since their boathouse burnt down a few years back, they've rebuilt both the physical building and their rowing structure, and they've really come on with their junior rowing again over the last 3 or 4 years, and they'll be putting a good showing in here for sure.
Yeah, I fully expect them to be contending at the business end of this category. They had good performances at the National Schools Regatta in the 8s, the quads and the 4s, and I remember a Marlow quad about 4 years ago now who were finalists in the Diamond Jubilee Challenge Cup, and they were the last really standout Marlow girls crew that I saw. But I think this current crop of athletes are looking to emulate their success and starting their Junior 4 category pretty well.
Yeah, don't think too much about the difference, because we're just past the island and Marlow are comfortably in the lead, because this is a composite crew from Mount St Joseph. They brought over a number of athletes, and they will be trying to give all of them some race experience. So it may be that this isn't one of their top fours, or they're saving them for the eights, and so on and so forth. But they've got such depth in their rowing program that they're able to bring these athletes over. And I wouldn't be surprised if these Mount St. Joseph athletes are some of the younger ones who are just here for the experience. But as they go past our commentary position, Tom, you're ready to say a few things about this Marlow crew. I mean, we know that they've done well in national events.
Yeah, they absolutely have. Bronze medalists in the girls' schools Cox 4 at the National Schools Regatta, finishing 6 seconds behind Sir William Borlase, who we saw in the last heat of this event. And they've got a competitive squad, an extremely competitive squad to work with, which will have made for a healthy training environment for these girls. And obviously Borlase being so close to them in terms of geography in the Thames Valley region, I'm sure they'll have one eye on the heat that happened just before theirs. But coming down the course, I think Mount St. Joseph's just come up against a better crew on the day. And it's worth noting that as a composite crew, as you say, Greg, there might not be that cohesion that Marlow are demonstrating here.
No, and Marlow, but they just want to get the cobwebs now out of the legs and give themselves a good row here, and then give themselves another 200 metres. They'll start relaxing, as we just saw Henley. You may have seen that in the top right-hand corner. They took their rate right down, so they've had a good row. They've shaken those cobwebs out. They probably haven't got much lactic acid in their legs, but whatever's in there now will be. It's almost a warm down for Henley as they were crossing the line there, and this Marlow crew will aim to do the same thing because they're wanting to keep as much energy in those legs for the next round as possible.
Well, I think having watched Henley in the previous heat, Marlow are going to need to conserve as much energy as they possibly can because they're going to come up against far sterner tests as they progress through.
That looked such a strong Henley crew, Tom. I really didn't see them, apart from the first 15 strokes, at their best. We saw them transition, but by the time they transitioned, they were already so far ahead. I don't think we saw them. We haven't seen what they can do yet, for sure.
So we'll keep one eye on that race, but now on the course is the beginning of the junior doubles, or the second batch of 4 of junior doubles, and this is race 152, contested between Nottingham Rowing Club on the Berkshire Station and the City of Oxford Rowing Club on the Buckinghamshire Station. Both crews getting away nice and cleanly. Good to see, without a Cox on board, that they're staying their lines at the moment. No need for the umpire to get involved in this early stage. And it looks to me, Greg, that the crew on the left-hand side of our picture, the City of Oxford, had the better of the 2 starts there.
Yeah, which I'm slightly surprised at, actually, because I know that this Nottingham crew is a really good crew. No, maybe they just had a bit of a wobble, but that's not taking anything away from City of Oxford, and apologies to that club if that seemed to be the case, because they are sculling very well. And the umpire will be getting involved, I would imagine, with Nottingham. They're quite close there, Tom, to
very close.
City of Oxford.
Yeah, I think they're playing a bit of a dangerous game. They're not actually helping themselves because they're now rowing in the wash generated by the City of Oxford crew, so that's not going to help them get back on terms at all. Obviously, Nottingham winners of this event last year, and perhaps suggesting in the early runnings of this event that maybe this crew doesn't have the pedigree of last year's.
It's looking that way. They've certainly had that not so good start, but both crews having a bit of issue with their steering. So Nottingham are straightened out a bit now, but City of Oxford have wandered into the middle of the course, and they're fine there. But as soon as they start putting down their puddles into the Nottingham crew's puddles there, the umpire will get involved again, and they're certainly having a good look at that as they approach in a commentary point. Umpire with a flag. Usually they keep the flag behind them, but she's got it straight down to the side of her at the moment because she's used it already. And by the look of this, it's quite a close race, so she might well be involved again. The City of Oxford, strong off the start, have kept that long, strong stroke going, and Nottingham are struggling to get on terms with them. They just don't seem to be the cohesive unit that I've seen, as you were saying, Thomas, I've seen them in the past. But City of Oxford, I mean, they don't have a very long stretch to practice on up at Oxford, and they really do well. They just go up and down about a 2 kilometre reach there, do a lot of mileage, huge amount of mileage. But look at the strength going down there. Nice reach out at the front end. Back position, excellent. Nice and braced against the blade. Very strong.
Well, I think on the subject of cohesion, Greg, you're absolutely right. Nottingham not quite looking like they're on it today, but the City of Oxford crew, with quite a lot of form, they were third at the Junior Sculling Regatta in May, and they were also finalists in the women's junior doubles category at the British Rowing Junior Championships last year. So a unit that's been together for a little while, so they'll know each other well, they'll know each other's style, and they've had a lot of time to sort of imprint the way they want to row and the way they want to take this race on. At the moment, it's paying dividends.
Very good style. They're keeping our eye open. At heads moving about a bit, but as we said earlier, I think as you said, Tom, I mean, people worry about heads. Maybe they worry about them too much. It's all about how the blade work goes in the water. And you just saw the umpire warning City of Oxford again to get back onto their side because they haven't dropped Nottingham just yet.
And actually, in the double, quite often they don't have a foot plate on board. So it's a case of having to steer with your arms, and that can really slow down the crew if you have to steer. And actually the bow person will say, look, hard on right or hard on left. And that's taking the weight off the even push that you have in a double scull. So steering in a double is actually more detrimental than having a foot on the rudder. So I imagine that little sort of deviance from the line will have allowed Nottingham a little bit of initiative to try and get themselves back into this race.
And it's a little harder to steer down this course than it would be in a multi-lane because you've got the boys on each side, so you can, and they come every 10 metres, so you can really gauge where you are in your lane. Here it's just that bit more difficult, but you can see City of Oxford have not been able to get rid of Nottingham, and Nottingham have, as you can just see there, the rating has gone up. They're having a good push at City of Oxford. City of Oxford must be tempted to increase the rating, but they're keeping it nice and long at the moment. And this is where Nottingham really need to work hard if they're going to come back for the last 200 metres.
It's quite interesting when we talk about that. Is it a case of City of Oxford can't shake Nottingham, or can Nottingham just not get back on terms with the City of Oxford?
Do you know, I think in this one it's a bit of both. City of Oxford haven't deviated from their race plan at all. Once they'd got into their rhythm, they've kept that stroke rate all the way up, and Nottingham have come up and gone back again, and City of Oxford haven't changed at all. They've got confidence in what they're doing. As you said, they've got the pedigree there. It's worked for them in the past. They know it'll work for them again, so they're pretty keen. They're just going up there, just taking it up a wee bit, just to show that they can. And boat speed, it looks really good. Last 5 strokes, they just took it up.
Yeah, impressive showing there from the City of Oxford. We will keep you updated on all results as they come through and are confirmed for us. But we'll just head back down to the start now for race 153. Another contest in the junior doubles between Gloucester, Hartbury on the Berkshire